I just yesterday got back from Europe. I was up at 4 a.m. this morning because of jet lag. You know, it is a very stressful schedule. I think I'm playing 140 or 150 concerts this year. Yeah, which is like, I don't know why I keep doing this to myself, but somehow I've been able to do it without feeling burned out yet, because I still enjoy it. And still look forward to trips. I don't to going on the next trip. So, but it's that kind of schedule is not for everyone, it's a lot of stress, a lot of pressure, and some of the more stressful things are the traveling aspects, the going to airports and the security and just that stuff does take a big toll.
Can it adversely affect your performance?
Well, sure. I mean, you're how rested you feel and how your peace of mind certainly affects how you play. So one wants to build in enough time to. It's always hard to find the right balance, because I would probably be better off arriving 3 days before every concert and just having time to rest, but then I would have no time at home ever. So I found myself in situations where I arrive in Europe and have to play the concert the same night, and it's usually when come concert time, getting up on stage, I forget about everything. I forget about if I have a headache, or I've played with 104 temperature with food poisoning. Once I start playing, I kind of forget about it. But it's a stressful life. But I actually enjoy the stress. I enjoy the intensity and of having that the stress, and then the release of when it's over, that feeling. It's a sort of euphoric when you can get through it and then and be done and have the applause and the satisfaction, and then you can go relax and have a nice meal and a beer after a concert. This is nothing like that.
You've talked about a certain thirst for adrenaline. Where does that come from, and how does that pan out in your life? It seems that many artists, in particular, self-describe as addictive personalities. Mm-hmm. Perhaps that could be a function of passion?
I think, yeah, I mean, they're closely tied. I think passion, compulsion, addiction, those things are all very closely tied. Historically, violinists have been gamblers. The many Paganini, Wieniawski, I think there are stories of each of them losing violins through gambling, and yeah, it's not always good. And that runs in my family too. My mother, my sisters, and I, we all have the gambling bug, the video games is gambling. Even Candy Crush, I've decided is basically a form of gambling. It appeals to the gambling part. People who get addicted to that are sort of gamblers in a way. But it is tied. It is tied together, and I think when I think myself. Why I like the adrenaline in all aspects of my life, with this competitive sports or gambling or playing. Maybe it's actually caused by the fact that I have been performing so much from all my life, and that gives you it's like a drug, you know, getting up on stage and being nervous and performing, risking. It's basically it's a risk. It's not, no one's going to die from it, but it's not. But it is a risk. You're bearing your soul. You're risking, and it's a huge rush. And I think when you get that rush, you tend to want to get that a lot. You know, thank God I never did drugs, never started that. That would not be good.
Tell us about your upcoming HBO special. What's the idea behind it?
Oh well, I had a lot of fun filming this episode for HBO of their series, Masterclass series. They came to me asking if I'd participate, and various artists and actors and people they've worked with before for the series. They've given master classes or done some form of working with young people, and we came up with the format of, I figured instead of giving a dry master class, I thought it'd be fun to actually create a performance and a sort of workshop with some young musicians, and so we chose 9 musicians from the Young Arts program in Miami, and these are kids from around the country. And I worked with them for a week. We performed right in this space in my house for an audience. We went to London. They observed my recording sessions for my Bach album, which is just coming out now, and we played Bach together and Mendelssohn Octet, and they filmed the whole thing and came up with this little half-hour documentary, and it was a blast.
At what point did working with young musicians, young children, become important to you? You also have your Education Through Music initiative.
Well, I love kids. I have 3 of my own, and I love just meeting kids in concerts. When I play concerts, I always go into the lobby and meet young kids who are up and coming. And nothing makes me happier than a young kid that says, "I started violin because of you," or "You just inspired me to practice." I just love that. And
You see a lot of children at your
I
concerts.
do, and people often notice that there are a lot of kids at my concerts. And maybe it's because I've developed a reputation for going out and meeting them because I love that. And so parents bring them to my concerts. I think every kid in this country should be playing music, having it in first of all in their schools, and also their parents. What it does for a young child, I mean, it affects their lives in so many ways. And it's one of the things I work with Education Through Music. It's an organization that I am closely working with. Their goal is to is installing music programs in inner city schools that have no music at all, and I've worked with them here with their schools in the Bronx and in Manhattan and Manhattan, the Bronx, and now around the country, and the difference it makes in these kids' lives. Their scores in academics go way up. Their self-esteem goes up. It's so rewarding to see that happen. So I would